you know, the tactics and strategies are useless um without the mindset, without correction internally. Even Kendrick Lamar said it in his song. He said it's hard to channel your energy when you know you're crooked. And a lot of people are crooked, and they don't have everything inside of them straightened out. I remember I was listening to Alex Becker talk about some of the same stuff, that your business is a reflection of you.
What do you think is the best tip for making the world a better place? What do you think about that?
The better world that I see is obviously the grand design. And that's fueled by designers empathizing, collaborating with people around their design. And so I think it all comes down to empathy. I mean, we've talked about this before, but the trajectory of human success is going to be determined by how much empathy they can develop in the coming years. We just have to make vehicles, aka businesses, because things don't go like people celebrate J.K. Rowling. Shout out to J.K. Rowling, but they said she's the first billionaire to lose her billionaire status from donating. But if you lose your status from donating, you can't donate more. So whatever vehicle that you choose has to be profitable. So we have to make vehicles with a central idea behind them being empathy, businesses with a central idea, and movements behind them with a central idea being empathy and collaboration, and make those things big as possible. That's really it. Be the rising tide that raises all ships. There has to be a extinction of the mindset that I just embodied for the last 21 years of my life, and still face sometimes that, okay, I'm going to make a movement that raises myself. And don't get me wrong, I like mansions. I do. I be in them hills. I can wake up every morning. I can see them. Can't afford them. Can't even afford where I live now. But it's like I can see them, and I like that. I'm not sure if I like a Lamborghini anymore, but I like that. I know that for sure. I like living on a lake. I like lakes. But the whole idea is that movements that are raising ourselves in vanity based, we have to all change the way that we think, which is, I think, just a matter of, like I said, tapping into the right distribution channels, because you're using the cash from this vehicle that's, your central idea of that vehicle is empathy. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's a little bit of it. Does that make sense?
No, I totally agree, man. I totally agree. And going back to our previous point, I wanted to ask you about what makes you feel inspired, or what makes you feel like you're the best you can be. What do you think are those few things that makes you feel like that?
I think, man, I think it goes back to what you were talking about. What my girlfriend said, why is Mike Sims' ghost ex haunting her wedding? Okay. She's funny. And that does happen. It's weird. But I think it goes back into so what makes me feel like I can do anything, and what makes me inspired. There are two layers. Yeah. What makes me feel like I can do anything is it goes back to what you're saying about people and the way they focus on media. And I said, when you scroll down your timelines all day and you police the internet looking for something negative to stamp out, that's an indication that your selective attention is focused on negativity. Which, if your selective attention is picking up negativity, if it's like, oh, coronavirus, the news, it's indicating that you're not very well as a person, because that's the emotion that resonates with you the most. You're going to focus on and so what makes me feel like I can do anything is that for some reason in the past, when I won my first JV county title, something in me just changed. Like I felt like I did something that no one thought I could do, and that I didn't think I could do myself, and I did it. And ever since then, it's like, my selective attention flipped, and it went from a place of, because Russell Brunson was in a room, he did a little raise your hand on this, and we're motivated by two forces: away from punishment towards reward. And what he found was that Whereas we're not motivated by both evenly. It's one more so than the other. With entrepreneurs, it's more so motivated by reward. And so that was the moment in me where, maybe because that was the first time in my life I felt admiration and praise from anybody, including family. But that moment was where that system in my head switched and I started being motivated by reward. And the central idea of my life, or the reference experience that runs my perception every day, is a win. Whereas some people, and is reward. Whereas some people, they run their mind over and over and over again on a loss. Like some people live every day, and the central idea of their mind that's running all their thoughts is, okay, well, somebody did something to me. Somebody cheated me in the past. My employer screwed me. I got to prove him wrong. I lost at this. And so when you're fueled by reward and you believe, like you're just, and you have that reference experience about a time that it was impossible, you have a narrative running in, because everybody has to come to a different narrative through an epiphany bridge story, whether you live it or not, or whether somebody tells you. But when you have that running in your brain, it's like, it's just undeniable. Because if I was using the reference experience of going away from punishment and going away from loss, it would make no sense for me to be in business or any business at all, because I have 2 years of failures, 3 years almost, with no wins. It's easy for me to just rely on that reference experience and say, okay, I predict the next experience to be a loss. But if I'm relying on that sole memory, my central idea is something that, that is in pursuit of reward. I can only think about the good side. My selective attention is only focused on that. And as for the inspiration part, what inspires me, formerly it was something else, and that's why I was a failure, and that's why I still was miserable for a long time. What inspires me now, whenever I feel down, I told this to my man Rashad the other day, I just think, man, think about all the people in the world who are waiting on you, or relying on you, or not even relying on me, relying on the people who will join this movement to make this happen. Think about all the people who are going to miss out and suffer because they need this thing and you were too lazy to get it done. How would you feel if your favorite artist just never decided to become an artist? I just think about the mass, and I feel like the billions of people that's really just relying on this thing to happen. And I always just think about that, man. How deep, like Owen Cook, man, he's served and served and served and served and served. How would I feel if he, for some reason, got depressed and went and worked a 9-to-5 20 years ago? What void would be left in my heart? And I just think about the people and what we could do for them.
That's beautiful, man. And that's just like what Russell Brunson says. Like, you need to think of who you could be impacting and think of them, and think of why. Think of, if you didn't find your voice, how would their lives turn out in 5-10 years time?
Yeah.
And that's what I always think of. I always think of the future. I always think of how I can impact these people's lives for the better, and to create that mass movement around what I'm trying to do for the better. Like, that's it. To impact people's lives. To your previous point, it literally comes down to your focus. Yeah. Like, you constantly focus on the coronavirus. That's where your focus is going to go. Although, if you focus on what you love to do, then whenever you see new opportunities, you're going to be more inclined to click on that when you scroll through your Instagram page, for instance. Like, for example,
their central idea.
Be what?
People need to be mindful of their central idea. What is the central idea of your life?
Yeah.
No matter how you look at so many different content pieces and so many different stimuli coming at you every day, you'll know what your central idea is, because you'll do a bunch of math and then you always lead back to that same topic. It's like people will look at like the coronavirus and they'll do a bunch of math and they'll be like, billionaires are trying to kill us. That's your central idea. You hate billionaires. You need to rewrite your central idea, or they'll do all this math and they'll say, you know what? It's the government. Well, I'm poor. Do all this math. It's the government. What is your central idea? Is it a negative idea or is it a positive idea? I just think that's important. That's a big
so true, man. And like, the one example for the Australian listeners here towards that is the 5G towers. Have you heard of that one over there?
That's a big one over here too, man.
Like, the 5G towers are killing us. And
some countries got 5G.
Yeah, like, what's that got to do with anything?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very strange.
So it all comes down to what you focus on. Is that where your focus is going? If it is, then that's where your productivity will go. That's where you will convince others of why this is happening. you could literally be using that for a positive cause.
Yeah.
People are going, okay, the 5G towers are going to kill us, and this is why, and this is why, and this is why you need to stay away from them, and this, that.
Yeah.
Imagine if they use that same mentality, that same energy, that same authority towards something that's positive.
Yeah. You can rationalize literally anything under the sun very easily
But
and have it make sense. You can. Like,
yeah,
there's a way you could do that.
and that's mainly due to because this media coverage is always in our face wherever we go,
Yeah.
wherever we go. And outlets such as our outlets that we create and other type of influencers online that actually think positively and have that cause in the back of their head. Like, not every single person out there is doing a how to make rich on Instagram podcast and crap like that. You know what I mean? There
Yeah.
are actually people like us out there that I cannot wait to find out and network with
Mhm.
that actually have the same mentality as us. But unfortunately, it cannot go out in the same magnitude as media does
Yeah.
at the moment
Unfortunately.
because we're still growing. But I have total faith that one day us two will be up at the top with
Yeah,
our
for sure.
podcast, with our movements, and that will be the new norm. It's
That's
already
big enough.
happening with the information age. It's already
Yeah.
happening with self-education. And that's why I totally believe that the mindset is going to be so prominent in the future, and it's happening now. Like,
Mhm.
Forbes predicts that the self-information age is going to be $1 billion a day in 5 years' time. $1
Wow.
billion a day in
That
5
is an
years' time.
insane number.
It's definitely insane. That's the way the world is moving towards, and movements are already coming into reality. Does that make sense? Like, it's
Yeah.
already happening around us, and people are doing it. So that means that anyone can do it. If you're listening to this now and you have that passion inside you, you have that drive inside you that you just know you want to send that message to people, whatever it is, you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. You know. I'm curious though, man. Can you kind of break down that we like in person and in words, kind of what you said through your message, like with the whole idea for behind your motive. I think in the first broadcast I was saying find your motive for some odd reason, but behind your motive, like because that's an intense idea, and I wanted to really talk about that because it's like people like the way you. I'm gonna let you break it down. That was a good one.
So I have my showers, and in my showers I have all these epiphanies and these ideas that come to mind because it's so soothing. And unfortunately, mum is getting on my back now because I'm using too much water in the shower, so I
Yeah.
have to cut back the time.
Well, how'd
But
that go?
I had this amazing idea, and I really was able to link up why I chose the title of this podcast to be Behind Your Motive. And at the time that I thought of that idea, I had no meaningful relation to it. It was
Uh,
just sounded cool. And a few days ago, I had the epiphany that behind your motive, I added the what's behind your motive to it. So, and that got me thinking. And then I was just like, wow, what is behind people's motives?
yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's the mindset, isn't it? But then I
Mhm.
got deeper and I was like, what is truly behind people's motives? And then I just closed my eyes in the shower and I just had this mental imagery in my mind where it was really strange. I was on a carnival ride and it was dark inside, and you could see to your left, you could see the people lining up to wait, and you could see on your right the person in charge of the ride, and he pulled the lever forward and he's like, go. And the carnival ride slowly went forward, and in front of you, you saw these two massive steel doors, and it was just like, what's behind your motive? That's what it said. And it's almost as if I was going through the doors behind why I do everything that I do,
Yeah.
behind my mindset, behind my maturity level at this age. And then I went through those doors and I just went a bit down and I saw freedom. Like, I saw what it can be like if I just stick down this path and what my life can turn out to be. I saw just, it was just free. It was like, it was the universe. You know, those colors of the universe.
Yeah.
I
Beautiful.
saw stars everywhere. I just saw freedom, and I saw all these different paths. And then I saw a massive mountain in front of me. And at the top of that mountain was my number one goal. And my number one goal is to help mum out
Mm.
and to give her the life that she always wanted. And that was at the top of the goal. And then I literally just saw the path going down from that to exactly where I'm at the moment. And that got me thinking again, and it was like, imagine if there was a path that people could follow, a fundamental path, a framework, a strategy that people could always look back to whenever they're lost and get rerouted in the right direction.
Mm.
And like, I was just like, I see now I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. And whenever I
Yeah.
get goosebumps, I get
That's big,
emotional
man.
about it. And it's just like, that would be so crazy that people could just follow it. And then I spoke to you, and you really cleared up things with me, because
Mhm.
whenever I've thoughts, they're all mixed and stuff, and I just want someone to ground me down, and you're the
Yeah.
person for that. So thank you for that.
I appreciate
And
it as well, man. Thank you.
I just had the thought of, if I'm going to be going down this route, and I want people to go down this route, I want people to believe that my movement is the way to go, is the only
Yeah.
way possible to get to their dreams, to get to the top of the mountain, to pursue their passion. They have to go through this first. And a lot of people never do this. And yes, there
Right.
are some successful people that I have, but I feel like they are outliers, because the majority of people never actually take that first step in the right direction. And the
Right.
first step in the right direction is to go into that carnival ride in that dark room in the unknown. That first room is the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's
Right.
ahead. You've never been on this carnival ride before, but you take that first step, and that first step is going into that room, and then going into that ride, and then going through those doors.
Right.
And I honestly believe that I want to create that journey, that story, where people can join me, join this movement, and take that ride themselves. It's a ride, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I want to honestly, that really grounded it for me. That really
Mm.
linked everything up in my mind, where yes, this is what I'm looking for, and this
Yeah.
is how I'm going to impact people now. And I really want people to follow me on this, and I really want people to join this movement, because it's going to change their lives, and I know I can change people's lives. That's how it all came about.
Yeah. I think man. I can see you seeing it as you're saying it. But
Yeah, man.
that's such a big thing, man. And that conversation actually helped me straighten a lot of things out too. Like just that perfect webinar concept of, this is the vehicle. I mean, this is the opportunity, and the only way to accomplish that opportunity is through this vehicle. Is that's a real heavy one. But that topic, especially the part where you say, like, you go into the room, and how a lot of that is the internal journey is so important, because we discussed at the beginning of this, not even intentionally, that the tactics and strategies are useless without the mindset, without correction internally. Even Kendrick Lamar said it in his song. He said it's hard to channel your energy when you know you're crooked. And a lot of people are crooked, and they don't have everything inside of them straightened out. I remember I was listening to Alex Becker talk about some of the same stuff, that your business is a reflection of you. And like like he went on the journey, and like he was trying to, become rich, and he did manage to crack $1 million per year, but then he leveled off. And he realized he leveled off, and he was stuck, and his business wasn't getting more profit or growing larger, because of who he was as a person, who he was mentally, who he was physically. He was undisciplined, all these different things. And that's just such a large conversation. Like, if you want your opportunity to be mass, you have to clean out and straighten your instrument. Attractive characters are part of building a mass movement. But as an attractive character, your instrument has to be clear out. And this relates to everything that we talked about, especially, the people on, like, let's say Twitter, who want to search for negativity. It's, selective attention focused on negativity and bad media is is indicative that the central idea, the behind, what is behind your motive, is not heading in the right direction. Every movement that you'll build off of that will cannibalize itself because your instrument isn't clear. And so to have that first piece being what you're all about, going behind people's motive and having them crooked, the crooked people, straighten out, is something that, like, it's always been a journey that happened by pain, by burning. You got to burn out the impurities. And the fact that you focus on that is just crazy, because that's such an expansive topic. Even in terms of, like, I remember when I was younger, learning from Owen Cook that optimizing your output in the world even goes down into what you eat. You eat the high fructose corn syrup, you eat the bad stuff, you don't drink a lot of water. A lot of things will result from that. Like, you'll be low in energy, brain fog, depression, anxiety all the time. And that's just such a large topic. What do you think about, nutrition in regards to, what's behind people's motive, and what's formulating their central emotions and central ideas?
That at the end of the day, it comes down to that, doesn't it? Like, whatever you feed your body with, you got to feed your mind with at equally the same amount of time. Like, people focus too much on their body and neglect their mind.
Yeah.
And they don't feed themselves with the right information. And a lot of people don't feed themselves with the right food and the right energy and the right drinks. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's hand in hand. It's hand in hand, because people either neglect their body and focus on their soul, or they neglect their soul and they focus on their body.
right.
But people, you need both of those avenues in order to succeed, and in order to go down this path. You need to be one with your mind, and you need to also feed your soul and feed your body with the right nutrients, the right supplements, the right food and water. And it all comes down to that, man. Yeah.
That's a big Tony Robbins idea right there. But
definitely.
I learned it from Owen, but I remember that particularly being a junior in high school, wrestling. And that year was catastrophic in so many different ways. A lot, I remember going down to the 7-Eleven every day and just jamming like Sour Patches, Twix, Butterfingers, Mountain Dew, everything that I could buy, just down my throat. And I remember that year, it was a lot of going on in the household, parents arguing and fighting and things like that. But that year I failed off the wrestling team. I got removed from the wrestling team because my GPA was so low. I had like 3 E's and 2 D's. And I remember listening to Owen Cook about nutrition. And I remember that next year, I came in, and I was very strict about, not very strict, but a little better about what I was consuming. I don't drink soda anymore. I mean, I will if I want to. I don't believe in forbidding anything. But that year, the brain fog, it was just so much clarity. Like, I remember even social interactions. Like, that year, I was just like, oh, like, it was a bad place. But I got the girlfriend that I'm with 5 years later because of those changes. The nutrition, man, it's such a huge thing.
You need to feed your body in order to get the energy you require to focus on the right things. You need to feed your body the right things in order to focus on the right things. Wherever your focus goes, like I said, your productivity flows. So if you don't feed your body, you're not going to be able to focus on the positive. You're going to always be comfortable, and you're always going to do what's easy. And what's easy is always being negative. Your mind is in fight mode all the time. Your mind wants to take away the uncomfortable experiences, the new experiences. They just want to be comfortable and not change.
Right.
Whereas if you fuel your body, in turn, you're fueling your mind, because you're building that discipline in your body. And then that discipline will come into one with your mind. And then you're able to focus on the things that you must focus on in order to get better. It's as simple as that. But people 100%. Neglect one thing. And if you neglect one thing, the equation doesn't add up to what you need to be.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And that's I like the word equation, because we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's like, you have to clear out what's inside of you, because, your selective attention If it's focusing on negativity, you'll have a negative central idea. And once that idea is put in place, you identify with it. You identify with the movement. Maybe you're like, let me just pick on, a black movement because I'm black. I can do that. Like Black Lives Matter. A lot of it started with beautiful origins, but because it went through the lens of society, and society is like a negative. It's unwell. A majority of society is unwell. A lot of it is translating into anger and rage and outrage and things that aren't so healthy. And it's like, if that's your central idea, and once that identity sticks, no matter the variables that you enter in that equation, you'll always get the same answer.
Yeah.
You'll always be, unless you really like just wipe that equation and start new, like you're saying, whether it comes to the body or the mind. But it's a lot to that, man. And that's a super powerful topic. But
Motive, you made it to the absolute end. You're an absolute legend. I know we spoke about a lot of things in that podcast episode, but I want you to take away this. What inspires you to become your best self? Now have a little think about yourself. What inspires you? What is behind that motive? What fuels you to keep on going forward? Use that and grow upon that. Keep using that, keep growing. I love you guys. Stay motive. Bye-bye.